Schreiber Foods plants and distribution centers across Missouri. And the latest on the deadly shooting investigation involving a prop gun on a film set in New Mexico. Also, royal doctors advised the Queen to cancel her second trip in 2 weeks.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities investigate an Arkansas woman who was found dead in northeast Oklahoma. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation says it is waiting on autopsy results before it can positively identify the woman. Authorities found her body Monday near East 570 Road in the town of Kansas, Oklahoma. In that same area, they found the car, purse, and other belongings of 82-year-old Ava Moore, who was reported missing from her Springdale, Arkansas home on October 20th. The medical examiner is working on a positive identification and is also trying to determine the manner and cause of death. In addition to the OSBI, the Delaware County Sheriff and Springdale, Arkansas Police are working on the case. A local manufacturer falls victim to what it's calling a cyber event. According to a representative from Schreiber Foods, the cyber event impacted the company's plants and distribution centers in Southwest Missouri and beyond. The event prompted a shutdown that began Friday night. The company, which employs more than 1,700 people in Carthage, Monette, and Mount Vernon, Missouri, says they immediately mobilized a specialized response team that worked to resolve the matter. Since the incident, Communications Director Andrew Tobish says they've made good progress in resolving the issue. And Schreiber's plants and distribution centers started bringing the plants back up late Monday night and early Tuesday morning. Well, according to the Identity Theft Resource Center, the number of data breaches is up 17% compared to 2020. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with a local cybersecurity expert about what businesses should do to protect their systems.
1,291. That's the number of data breaches so far in 2021. That's compared to 1,108 in 2020, according to the Identity Theft Resource Center.
That actually, to me, is surprisingly low. We actually were expecting, seem to be tracking a little bit higher than what I expected. We saw a kind of a dip in 2020 because of COVID. The bad guys were also taking some time off because of COVID. So it seems like this year they're kind of back with a vengeance.
According to a report from IBM, the average cost of a data breach for a company was $4.24 million, the highest in the last 17 years the report has been put together. Those are costs that could be avoided.
Some of the best things is to really get phenomenal backups. And by that I mean we want to have what we call an air gap between where your data and where the backups are actually stored. Good protection, employee education is substantial, just to make sure that employees are not clicking on things that are inappropriate. Good password management is absolutely key.
As for the number of people impacted by these breaches, that number is at 281 million so far this year. So we asked John what you can do to protect yourself in case a place you do business with is hit with a cyber attack.
You're limited at what you can do. So, maybe some identity protection would be important. So if you get breached, reach out to the company that had the breach and see if they can provide you some free identity protection or fraud protection on your behalf.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
You can find links to the reports on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, a round of storms is blowing through the 4 states today. Michael Hayslip joins us with First Look.
All things considered, Tanya, you've been keeping an eye on this because it's an extensive band that stretches from the Gulf Coast to Canada, runs right through us. And what they're going through right now in portions of Texas and Louisiana, oh man, do we have it easy. And we'll get to them in just a bit. Here we are, a live look outside of Television City. A rain-splattered tower camera is what we have, as the rain finally spreading east into portions of southwest Missouri that for the most part were overcast but stayed dry earlier today. Now that it's widespread, just find out where we go from here. Heavy rain, not only in between Independence and Parsons, but look at this, a line that stretches just south of Carthage along I-44 and then drops down through southern southwest Missouri into McDonald County and crosses into the Arkansas state line. Watches and warnings for us, just one. That's the flood watch, still exists for the Little Osage River. That's at the gauge in Vernon County at Horton. And look at that expiration time, all the way until Sunday. One thing that has kind of calmed down a little bit once the storm rolls through, the winds. We were up to about 20 miles per hour earlier this morning. And we haven't had any drastic change in temperature, nor really will we, for kind of the rest of the afternoon. We'll stay pretty much in the high 50s, low 60s. The rain, it is a far cry from being over. As Future Track shows us, we're going to have to take this all the way through the night into Thursday. It does begin to taper off finally Thursday evening, but really isn't done until we get into Friday morning. Coming up here in just a little bit, Tanya, we'll take a look at our rain totals so far, already pushing over 1.5 inches in portions of southeast Kansas, and take a trip down to the south, check out the tornado damage. That's right, this thing spawned tornadoes down in the Houston area, and now that thing's tracking through portions of Louisiana, including Lake Charles.
All right, we'll definitely keep an eye on that for sure. All right, thanks, Michael. New details about the deadly shooting on the set of Alec Baldwin's movie are expected to come out today during a news conference held by Santa Fe investigators. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed and director Joel Souza injured in the fatal incident last week. Jonathan Vigliotti has more from Santa Fe.
The district attorney's office tells us at this point they can't rule out criminal charges in this case as the investigation continues. Meanwhile, this morning we're learning new information about what reportedly happened in the final moments leading up to that shooting. According to the entertainment website The Wrap, some crew members took guns from the set out into the desert and used them with live rounds to shoot at targets. That practice allegedly happened earlier in the day before the shooting. The report also says that one of those guns was the gun that killed Hutchins. According to police documents, the gun fired by Alec Baldwin was one of 3 set aside by the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez, and picked up by Assistant Director David Halls. Halls allegedly shouted, "Cold gun" on set, meaning it had no rounds inside, before handing it to Baldwin. We still don't know if that gun was loaded with a ballistic round or a blank, and why it was declared cold in the first place. We do know from a police affidavit that plenty of ammunition was found unsecured on set, some kept loose and others in a fanny pack. But what type of ammunition at this point remains unclear. We'll be asking questions at a press conference being held here at the Sheriff's Department, where we expect to learn more about this active and ongoing investigation. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, Santa Fe, New Mexico.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon.
Queen Elizabeth has canceled another trip. I'm Ian Lee on why the British monarch is advised to take it easy.
And later, we're making a sweet potato cake in the Mr. Food Test. Britain's Queen Elizabeth canceled a trip to Northern Ireland last week, and now she's canceling a trip to Scotland. The decision has brought the monarch's health under new scrutiny. CBS's Ian Lee reports from London.
If pictures are worth 1,000 words, then these of Britain's Queen Elizabeth are meant to speak volumes, showing the monarch is back to business on Tuesday, virtually meeting new ambassadors, but more importantly, that she's doing better after a trip to the hospital last week. Buckingham Palace said she underwent preliminary investigations without giving more details. But with the 95-year-old still advised to take it easy, the palace says she'll miss the UN Climate Summit kicking off next week in Scotland.
The Queen will be very disappointed. She doesn't like to disappoint people. She knows that a lot of world leaders are coming, and so she won't have taken this decision lightly.
In a statement, the palace says the Queen is disappointed not to attend the reception in Scotland and that instead she'll deliver a recorded video message.
Queen Elizabeth had already had a busy month before the trip to the hospital, traveling more than 1,000 miles while opening Parliament in Wales, visiting Scotland, and hosting business leaders in London.
But you must remember that she's 95 years old, and she clearly has been exhausted, and so it's no doubt a very sensible decision.
The Queen's latest cancellation will likely raise concerns about her health. Royal experts believe her workload will also be under constant review to ensure that she remains a picture of health. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Well, the royal family will still be represented at the UN summit in Scotland. Both Prince Charles and Prince William, along with their wives, are scheduled to attend. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Today, we're going to turn everyday sweet potatoes into a dessert that'll almost be impossible to resist. Join me as we show you how easy this fall favorite is to make.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Was it more than 20 minutes ago that 7th and Range Line, albeit that wasn't entirely dry, certainly was much more manageable than what we're going to see, because this is going to become a familiar sight. Anytime Doug or Nick or I pop it up for the next 2 days, that's about what the roads are going to look like, because the rain is here and it is here to stay on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Let's isolate in where we're seeing our hardest rain right now, in between Parsons and Erie throughout southeast Kansas, moving them from Montgomery County into Labette County, down in the southern portion of southeast Kansas. Now we're really picking up a good band of rain here that runs from Carthage just on the east side of I-49 to I-44, and you'll notice that's about the only lightning that we have going on right now, but then that continues to track down all the way through Newton and McDonald County down to the Arkansas state line. As far as our rain totals, earlier this morning it had a good south to north push to it, and we didn't see a whole lot of eastward expansion, but now we're going to even these numbers out a little bit. Still, when it's all said and done, the majority of our rain by the time we get into Friday morning is going to be in southeast Kansas. Our trace amounts that we're seeing right now will eventually become 1.5 to 2 inches in southwest Missouri, and here in this little area we're already talking about almost 1 3/4 inches just going back when the rain started last night. That being said, I want to point out this portion of Vernon County in southwest Missouri. We know we're going to get a whole lot more rain because there's already a flood watch in effect for the Little Osage River right there at the Horton Gauge, and that lasts all the way into Sunday. And so once again, when we go back and we talk about our totals, we don't see a whole lot right here, and that's just in anticipation of what's eventually going to make its way to us. Now, we're going to transition from flood watches here because that's the severity of what we had. This thing has been a mess down to the south. Let's traverse down to East Texas into portions of Louisiana. The yellow outlines that you see indicating severe thunderstorm warning. We got a red box right there. That is a tornado warning. Multiple reports around the Beaumont area of confirmed touchdowns, and we've got damage reports, structures down. Luckily, National Weather Service in those storm reports not reporting any injuries or fatalities. So the fact that we're just going to deal with a lot of rain for 48 hours, that's doable compared to what they got down south. 60 degrees is where we stand in Joplin. Thermometer hasn't budged. This is about what we had probably about 4:30 this morning. Hasn't gone absolutely anywhere, and really nor will it until later on tonight. Are seeing some double-digit winds reemerge here in Independence and Chanute. Did get calmer to the central and eastern portions, but you notice our surrounding winds, those are much higher than what we have in our highlighted counties. Also of note, while we're talking about this one that stretches from the Gulf right through us all the way to the Canadian border, also severe weather on the northeastern portion of the United States, the nor'easter that they had. Here's video out of Brockton, Massachusetts from about 5 a.m. our time as firefighters had to battle a blaze. This is an apartment building, and they're doing this in 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. Turns out the winds knocked down a transformer, landed on the apartment complex, displaced 25 people. No reports of any injuries there, but amazing work. Reminds you just every day what our first responders do for us. Rain going to persist throughout the course of our afternoon. Now, tonight, that's when this thing puts on the brakes with the heavy rain. And once it does that, then we get our counterclockwise movement. And that's why the rain totals are going to pile up, because it's going to be here all throughout Thursday into Friday morning as well. Cooler temperatures for Thursday and Friday, but still setting up for a great weekend, Halloween weekend. All we got to do is get rid of this here on Wednesday and Thursday, and then the kiddos, they're going to just love picking up that candy. 64 degrees for a high, mostly sunny skies. Get to the afternoon, evening hours when they get dressed up. It's going to be perfect, and perfect for parents escorting their children.
Yeah. Nice. Well, we can't complain about Halloween. Something to look forward to after this rain.
Oh, yeah.
For the next batch.
Oh, kids don't care about the rain. They're already looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Purple Heart recipient Donald Nelson in the U.S. Army. The Coffeyville, Kansas native joined the 35th Military Police Division, 5th Ranger Company in 1941. He fought in Germany and in France until 1945, earning the Bronze Star in addition to the Purple Heart. To Sergeant Donald Nelson, we thank you, our four-state hero. As the weather cools off, you may find yourself looking for a new and comforting dessert to try. Today, Howard shares the perfect recipe for a sweet potato cake, one that your entire family will want a piece of in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
I think it's interesting how our taste buds seem to crave certain desserts based on the time of year. In the spring, we can't wait to make sweets that are lighter and brighter, so we tend to gravitate towards lemon this or lime that. As we move on to summer, everyone's looking for desserts like peach cobbler, as well as ones that are creamsicle inspired. And now that it's fall, we're on a quest to find warm and cozy desserts, like this new cake that's made from a fall favorite, sweet potatoes. After beating together some sugar, eggs, oil, and vanilla, we add some flour that we combined with pumpkin pie spice, baking soda, and just a little salt. Now for the star of this cake, we add in some shredded sweet potatoes along with chopped walnuts. The sweet potatoes not only give this a rich, nutty taste, but they also make our cake nice and moist. Plus, they're loaded with lots of vitamins and minerals. Now, all we do is bake it off, and once it's cooled, we finish it with a 4-ingredient homemade cream cheese frosting. And if you're wondering if this tastes as good as it looks, well, you can be the judge of that. To get the recipe for our super moist sweet potato cake, simply visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a fall favorite way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
That line of heavy rain now stretching all the way from Barton County down to the Missouri-Arkansas state line in southwest Missouri will continue to move to the east, lightning limited. But once again, because this is not going to stop until Friday morning, that is correct, Friday morning, flash flooding is a very, very distinct possibility. Need everybody apprised of that, especially for the Thursday morning commute.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, today the National Retail Federation releases its annual holiday retail sales forecast. Comes as prices for goods are rising and ongoing supply shortages. We're going to take a look at the predictions. And is Halloween candy for dogs a trick or a treat? Our pet vet answers whether any candy can be good for your pets. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.